with Judge Meadows?
Hardly a gang.
Let me stop them. I have 50 raiders.
No, Rob. We're going to let them air their grievances. Maybe it'll bring down the temperature. The ultimate goal is to stop a rebellion.
Every level they climb is one level closer to the airlock.
Send a few people out to explore and come back.
Just a little exploration. Everything about that is prohibited by the pact.
I wasn't going to agree to it. I was going to say we'd form a committee to study these ideas.
Cut the sentence in half so we can seem fair. And she even says, I don't think he won't even last a year down there. And I'm just kind of like, damn. She really made me feel like she cared about Kyle Lucas.
Yeah. Check this out. So I get what you're saying, but I slightly disagree, only because if Solo has been in that thing by himself since he's a child, think about what we see with Victor from the show From.
Oh no!
Yeah, think about, and we watched this show called From. I'm sure you guys have heard about it. Think about Victor in the show From. Victor is the same way in a lot of ways, that his mindset, the way he articulates, he's socially...
Welcome, fellow crows, to another episode of the New Washers on the Wall. Today, we are talking about Silo episode 4.
And my damn feelings are hurt.
I know, mine are too.
Oh my goodness. Man, like what they did to my Judge Meadows, I cannot believe it.
I like Judge Meadows. I really do like that character. She is, I don't know. She's just, I just, there are no characters like her, she's
like my favorite character. Like, I know. When we were watching the this season and people recommended us to, follow the show, the thing that made us really watch it was episode 3, where Judge Meadows to us was just a star. She was just a star every moment on, that she was in the show. I just was fascinated by what she was saying, what she was doing, and they took her away. But
took her from us.
Yeah, but anyway, let's go ahead and get into our top 5, and then we also have one more, which is going to be a bonus. And we got to talk about it. The poisoning of Judge Meadows.
Yes.
And a lot of people are talking about it. The thing that stood out the most to me, right? It's a couple of things. Number one, that parallel that they drew between what Bernard did with Judge Meadows after he poisoned her, and what we saw Judge Meadows do when she was convicting the guy for what was his name?
Kyle.
Yeah, when she was convicting Kyle for accessing the relics or whatnot, and she gave him the 5 years hard labor. But if you recall, Bernard allowed her to look in that VR headset to kind of get a taste of what the outside world was. And we see Judge Meadows do the same thing to the guy right before sentencing him, when she asked him, what do you think you saw? Those are stars. And then she broke down all this information about how the earth rotates, and he was into it, she was into it. But then they punished him. And
she still punished him, because to me it looked like they had formed some kind of connection, like a mother-son an academic connection, whatever kind of connection, it was there, right?
Yeah.
But she still sentenced him to hard labor in the mines, even though it was she cut it in half. It still was like, golly, I thought we just shared a moment. Like, you still gonna send me down there?
I mean, I just couldn't believe it. And the other thing about the Judge Meadows thing, and you guys leave a comment below. Judge Meadows is a very intelligent, calculating person. I can't believe that she wouldn't have been more on her P's and Q's with Bernard, who is very obviously a go-by-the-book guy and get it done by any means necessary kind of guy. And did she really think this guy was going to build her a suit and let her leave? At no point did she think she was putting her life in jeopardy by saying, that's what I want to do?
And it's reminds me of what we talked about off camera. Like, she was like, why would she do this? Why would she trust him? And I was telling you, like, when you had some type of relationship, what it seemed like they had, and she loved him, there's a trust that's built there. You don't think that the person that you love and trust would hurt you in that way, kill you in that, like, I mean, you wouldn't think of that to them. Think about that.
You're
with him.
100% right, and that's
The
the
guard
question.
is down.
Yeah, that's the question I was going to pose to the audience, and I agree with you. That's probably what happened, and even that conversation that they had when um they were talking about their past, and she said that when she stepped down from being his proxy, not proxy, but
Shadow.
his shadow, he was like, you disappeared for 4 days. And a lot of people are wondering what's going on. And to me, it's become incredibly evident that they have some type of physical relationship going on. And Judge Meadows might have skipped out of town because maybe she got pregnant or something.
Or a few floors down, not
out of town. Went down a few floors down.
Right. Yeah. And I can see why people say that. You know, she did say during the dinner conversation, like, I knew you weren't going to be able to get, like, fully give yourself to me. Like, she probably wouldn't have his full attention of, you know, having a family and all that. And she had to make a decision, you know, because Bernard just seems like he's all about the silo.
All about in the rules.
In the rules and keeping order and just being that in leadership, that there was no time for anything else, right?
Crazy. And I just couldn't believe that. And it was, to me, because we haven't read the books, I was just shocked.
I'm tempted, boy. I'm tempted. My Hoopla Digital, my Libby account is my fingers itching. Like I'm almost there. I'm like, ooh, wool. Okay.
And let's transition to the Judge Meadows explaining the galaxy, because I like some things that you said in addition. But before we do that, I would be remiss if I did not shout out our new members.
We got a new member.
We got another one. So Doc has been rocking with us for about a week.
Welcome to the
And
cult.
we want to thank Luna Cascade for also supporting us as well by becoming a member. And I guess it's a good time to also say, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share while you're watching. But talk about what you were saying, Candace, about that incident with Judge Meadows, and you were talking about she gassed him up, saying that you're contributing to the silo, which is a very important way. Like, talk about like what you were saying.
So she pretty much told him, like, you know, just because you're in the mines, just because you're busting up rocks down there, does not mean that you are not a vital part of the silo. Every person in the silo has a role to fill to keep the system going. And just because you are in the mines does not mean that you are not an important part of that system. And watching it again, she is, oh my God, she is the perfect politician.
Oh my goodness.
She is the perfect politician. She even tells Bernard in their conversation about, you know, he comes in there like, you know, on one, and she tells him, yeah, I cut the sentence in half so we can seem fair. You know, and she even says, I don't think he won't even last a year down there. And I'm just kind of like, damn, she really made me feel like she cared about Kyle Lucas.
Yeah.
When she was explaining the universe and how it works to him, giving him these like little crumbs before she sends him down below the deep down below the, what do you call it? The down deep?
Yeah.
Way below there. She was giving him like hope almost. And oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I was just like, wow.
And the thing was, I almost don't feel like she was giving him hope. I think that she wanted to share what she knew. And then I also think she wanted to know what he knew.
Right.
Because she's so fascinated about escaping what people know and information. But
he didn't
like
know
you said,
much.
she was so calculating in what she did, because she was like, look, we have to seem fair to the people. So that's why I decided to not, you know, hold him super accountable,
and
which I thought was crazy.
That is how you keep a society running. Having to make decisions of when you are duplicitous for the greater good.
Yes.
This whole thing, like, she and Bernard remind me of Dumbledore. If you've read Harry Potter, you would know why. But she is just really just the perfect politician, and I am so sad to see her go.
I mean, it was crazy.
It added a level of intrigue almost.
Yeah,
to
like
the
she's
show.
such a good character. let's hop to our third one. I
Mhm.
want to talk about Silo, right?
Mhm.
And we saw him.
Solo.
Oh God,
Solo Dolo.
Solo.
That's how I
Yes,
remember Solo
Solo
Dolo.
Dolo. I want to talk about Solo. And we got a chance to really see what his personality
Because
was
you
like.
brought up a really good point.
Yeah. And the thing that I thought was a couple of things I thought about their interaction was incredibly interesting to me. Number one, when Silo was talking about that classroom that he was in, and he was explaining, oh, this was a friend's backpack or whatever the case may be. And Julie was like, oh, you were in here? That meant you might have been this age. And then immediately Solo backs out of it. But I think that maybe he was a child when there's Silo, engaged in the rebellion or whatever the case may be. And couple of reasons. That might be why his eyes are kind of messed up, because one of his eyes is a different color. We saw in that episode where Julie was going to their silo that they foreshadowed some children. They foreshadowed the people coming out, and one of the people that they focused a lot on was a child. So it is, to me, it's possible that
the child went back, right?
That he went back in and maybe survived. I couldn't believe how disrespectful Julie was being toward him when he was. I know she was busy trying to work on stuff, but when he was talking about the elephants, when he was playing the music, when he was just talking about different things, she was like, be quiet, shut up. I'm trying to do something. I don't want to hear the story. I don't want to do that.
Juliet was on a mission, and it seemed to me, and I remember off camera we talked about this. It seemed like Solo might have had some type of mental delay. Because his actions and the way he speaks, the things that he seems very childlike, right? So I thought that, their interaction seemed to me like a babysitter and a kid. That's what it seems like. It seemed like Juliet was babysitting Solo.
Check this out. So I get what you're saying, but I slightly disagree, only because if Solo has been in that thing by himself since he's a child. Think about what we see with Victor from the show From.
Oh no!
Yeah, think about, and we watched this show called From. I'm sure you guys have heard about it. Think about Victor in the show From. Victor is the same way in a lot of ways, that his mindset, the way he articulates, he's socially awkward, different things like that. And Solo could be the same way, because if he was a child and he was in this silo by himself, locked in the vault, you would assume it and understand that he would have difficulty communicating, interpersonal relationships, and reading the room overall. So I was shocked how rude Julie was to him, because he's all you got. And then we saw, it seemed like she seemed to remember that I need to chill out when, she went underwater, got the suit, came back, and then Solo was like, I gotta go back to the vault. He ran back to the vault.
But you know what? And this is completely unrelated. I think Juliet and Solo are autism coded. I feel like the writers have written them to have characteristics that are in line with autism, just like Victor is written in the show From. That's what I think. When Julie's abruptness, her brashness, her single-minded focus, her, her thinking about justice, and her
she's centrally focused. When she's focused on something, she
nothing else matters, right? And Solo seems the same way, but he's just kind of on another part of that umbrella, where he's single-mindedly focused on things like the bunker. Is it called the bunker?
The vault.
The vault. And wanting to get back to the vault, not wanting to leave his comfort. All of these things are coded to me as them both being on the spectrum. Now, we're way in the future. There's no idea of, they're calling a vitamin D deficiency the sickness. So there's no, medical apparatus that's probably telling you that, hey, these people are on a spectrum of divergence, right? So that's kind of how I'm looking at it. Like,
that's an interesting
but
perspective.
again, to me, she also seems like she is babysitting a kid. Like, she's just letting him talk about this. Oh, no. Okay. And like, yeah. And then, when he gets kind of freaked out about her taking the pump from the organ, he's all worried to put it back, and she kind of has to soothe him and be like, okay, well, we can put it back, and remember, you know what I'm saying? It just seems
Captain
like
Nemo would like to know more
an
about
adult
that
and a child
place.
type of
But this
relationship.
is the thing. Julie should recognize that.
What do you call it?
And that's why I was so shocked that
Why
she
would
was
she
so...
recognize it?
circus.
She hasn't probably
wanna
been
tell me
around
about that?
children. She doesn't seem like she'd
You
want
could
to.
tell me about.
It's not that whether or not she's been around children. She should recognize that she's dealing with somebody who is delicate in the mind, right?
Yeah.
And for her to be so abrasive with him, if Solo says, fuck you, I'm out of here, girl, you are on your own. Like, self-preservation should kick in, and you should be trying to nurture that relationship. That's all I'm saying. I just thought that was kind of weird.
Right.
So then our next thing was
The Wall of Names.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that?
Go ahead.
That was really, really interesting. At the beginning of the episode, you have Knox talking to Cheryl about those names that are written all over
in the statements and sentences.
in the statements on the bottom of the silo. He believes the people who are on those walls are people from Mechanical who died during the rebellion. But he kind of thinks about it. It's like, what if there was more than one rebellion? What if the one that we learned about wasn't the only one? And so he starts reading these statements saying, okay, it started with the food shortage. A trash chute fire, factory work shuts down. No matter where the rebellion started, Mechanical was always blamed. Why? So, and Shirley is like telling him, dude, because we control.
We run shit.
And we saw that when the group were
going upstairs
to meet Judge Meadows. She dropped that red ball, everything shut down. The lights, the power, and the people who were up above who were, wanting to not riot, but like confront them were like, kind of shocked. And then she sent that green ball down, everything turned back on. They control so much. And I always think to myself, like, blaming Mechanical, what would be the reason that they would blame Mechanical? And because they want to weaken Mechanical's power.
Yeah.
Right.
And that was really interesting because they're starting to see how that is the case. And you would have thought that they would have used that knowledge to maybe say, we might want to be careful going upstairs, and we might need to be a little bit more strategic in going upstairs, because we see that they eventually get framed with Judge Meadows' death, so to speak, which was, really interesting and intriguing at the same time. And just real quick, isn't it interesting how that kind of reminded me of like society, how whenever things go bad or not going so well in society, they like to blame the lower socioeconomic status type people, right? Instead of looking at, the billionaires,
people up above get more grace. But yeah, we see that all the time. Like, people who are in lower
socioeconomic status, lower positions
get blamed.
They get blamed for things when the real problem is somewhere up top within a bureaucracy of government and stuff like that.
It's kind of like we talked about before about Bernard, and it's like, why not just tell people why you can't go outside?
Mm-hmm.
Why not just tell them this is what it looks like outside?
Mm-hmm.
Why not? I mean, I don't understand the keeping of information. Like, what's the point of that?
Yeah. And then our fifth top moment, I want to talk about Sims and his speech. But before we talk about Sims and his speech, I think we have to mention how Sims manipulated things behind the scenes and how his spouse and him basically came up with these amazing ideas.
Yeah, Sims is married to Lady Macbeth.
Yeah, like when she was like, you know what? We don't need to file the petitions to get her out. We can just start getting it on people's minds and letting people react. That can be just as inflammatory. And it makes me wonder, what is Sims' role going to be moving forward? Especially since Bernard then made Sims like his right hand man now.
And
Got him killing Judge Meadows.
right, and I think Bernard needs to watch his back, because Bernard probably has something up his sleeve planned for Sims anyway. He just seems like that kind of guy. But it really seems like Sims is really trying to be a mover and shaker. Is he trying to be Bernard's shadow?
Yep.
That's probably what it is. Sims seems like a character who wants to have more power than he has.
Mm-hmm.
And the wife is just like, okay, you want this, all right.
And then
this is
she's
what you should
supporting
do.
it. And then
Yeah,
she's supporting it.
She's supporting it.
Because what it makes me wonder too is, what do you get from moving? I guess, what do you get? More food? You get to move up higher in the silo?
We don't really know.
It seems like he already has a pretty good life, but does he want more? Like, do you get to move up higher? I guess it's no different in the real world. He wants to move up higher in the high rise.
I think there's something. I think what it is that they want to know. He probably wants to know about the outside world.
Mm-hmm.
He wants information. He wants to know what's going on. Like, he wants to be the man. He wants to be in the room where it happens.
Yeah.
Wanting to make decisions. But I really think what it is information. He wants to be behind that vault.
Yeah, he wants to move up and be more in that. Yeah, you're right. And then our bonus one that I think that we just have to mention, which is the new sheriff. Him starting to realize that there's more to things going on than what's showing. And in particular, him questioning and finding out information about the riot and discovering that the person who
threw the firebomb,
that he may not be dead because he was actually shot through the shoulder. And when they went to like the morgue or whatever, she was like, the body is no longer here. So we all know that he made that bargain in that deal to get basically the red pill from the Matrix to forget, basically to forget, so that he doesn't have to remember his wife and all of those kind of things. So we know that he's probably somewhere, and I can't wait to find out where he is. And like Carter said in our midweek review last week, that reminded him of the Matrix when the guy said, look, plug me back into the Matrix. I will sabotage and give you Morpheus and Neo. Just put me back in the Matrix and make me someone important.
Right.
So, yeah. But overall, we got to start rating the episodes. So how many silos? We got to
find something.
Yeah, about the show. How many? I think silos could work. Or
no,
you don't like the silos. How many Judge Meadows? How many knives? I mean,
how many knives? Yeah.
How many relics? There we go.
How many relics?
How many relics? How many relics would you give this episode on a scale of 1 to 10?
It gives I would say 8.5 relics.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Really good episode. I'm going with 8.5 relics as well. Really moving the plot along. Just doing a good job. Like, really like masterful work with the episode. Guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. We will do a midweek review, not a midweek review, but a midweek live about the show. So don't forget to turn on your notifications, like, subscribe, and share, and consider joining, being a member on the channel to support a small channel like ourselves.
Our Silo Live is going to be called the meeting of the minds, or no, we're putting on the our Oculus. I don't know. Our VR headsets.
We're gonna put our VR headsets.
We're meeting behind the vault. I don't know, in the vault. We'll come up with something. But yes, please join us. And thank you so much for your subscribing and share, like, follow.
All that good stuff.
Yeah. Our watch is ended.
Peace.